So you're going to be seeing these Odyssey square to square putters out there. This video is designed to tell you about the technology and demonstrate on our proprietary putting studio what it actually does. Okay, Odyssey are just about to release square to square putters. We've seen this technology out in the putting world and it's kind of dominating. So we want to do a test as simple as possible to try and understand the differences. Luckily, I actually play an Odyssey number 7 CH, and you can see the crank hosel. When I balance this on my finger, we see that the face almost points to the sky, which indicates traditional face balance. There is a tiny little bit of toe hang there. Square to square design, completely different. You say, I can try and balance it face up, doesn't kind of work. It always wants to tilt to this position here. This is where it sits most neutral. It's a face towards the target, and that's what the technology is about. It's about getting the shaft to intersect the club's center of gravity and make the club balance squarely through the stroke, square to square. We're not trying to test if this putter's good or bad. We're trying to highlight if there's any differences between the putter that I love and my true gamer, the CH number 7 and the number 7 square to square. Luckily at CoolClubs we have our own proprietary putting studio with TrackMan technology. So if we can't pick it up on the cameras or with the TrackMan data, it's probably not worth talking about. Let's dive into it and see what differences there are. I'm going to start with my 7CH model, hit about 6 putts and look at the data, and then I'm going to jump into the square to square number 7 and see what I get. I'm going to start with my gamer, the 7CH, then we're going to look at the TrackMan data. There's obviously simple things to note. Did I hold more putts with one or the other? And then we can also look at consistency of return of my face angle and also a bird's eye view of how the path moves. Let's get into it. Okay, so I got 6 putts hit with TrackMan data, and shows how average I am. I only hold 1 out of the 6 putts with my putter, but I was pretty consistent. I missed everything down the right edge, and we can take a little look at some data here. You can see that I know my stroke is generally inside on the way back and down the line, inside down the line, and that's why I do have a little bit of a push miss, because sometimes I don't get the face quite in the right place at the right time. On average, my face angle was 0.5 degree open to target over the 6 putts. But what happened is I started 1 or 2 degrees open through impact, and then I kind of figured it out and I got the face a little squarer towards the end. But what I'm also interested to see is this bird's eye view that we get with our TrackMan proprietary studio, where you can see the path of the putter moving, and I'm hoping we see some differences with the square to square. So let's take a look at this bird's eye view. The putter goes back, and you can see on the way back there I've tracked inside the line. And my face is open, and then on the way through I get the putter back to the ball and then tracks down the line. And let's look at the last putt that I hit, which I was kind of adjusting myself due to my miss. Same kind of thing though, putter goes inside the line and then down the line on the way through. Not much face rotation on the way through and a little open on the way back. When we look at the averages, which I wasn't going left and right, I was kind of just going to the right, we can see that my club path is 1 degree into out on average. My face is 0.5 degree open on average, but I get great roll percent off the AI1 face, and a speed drop percent is also in the good spot, and I'm hitting up on the ball. Okay, so it's time to check out the 7 square to square. There are some subtle differences. The head shape isn't identical to mine, and obviously the shaft is in a different place, the face is in a different place, so it's as good as like for like as I can produce. When I set up over the ball, there is already a different experience. Where the face is ahead and the shaft's back, it really promotes this forward shaft lean, which I actually don't mind, because that's kind of how I set up anyway. But the one thing to note is it really isn't exactly a straight swap. You do have to make some subtle setup adjustments to make sure that you can make the best stroke possible with this square to square style, coming from a more traditional style. That's why it's kind of really key to get fit for these putters. Let's hit a few with it. I've got some room for improvement from my own putter, so this thing's got a chance. Let's see what it does. So let's check out the data from the square to square putter. You can see here that I still have my tendencies of inside, down the line, and that's great. I didn't want the putter to really change my putting style. I just want it to improve what I'm doing. That being said, I did have to make some adjustments at setup with the forward press and the way the sole sits on the ground with this shaft. It is slightly different, and the face being ahead of the shaft rather than behind takes a minute to get your eye adjusted to the alignment. So it's really important to pick the right style of putter that you can sit on the ground, feel comfortable over, and align the best. It's great that they've got different options in these models. What we did see is that although my path was about the same on the way back, we did see improvements by a percentage of a degree, granted, but that's what TrackMan gives us, of more square through impact more often. Did I hold more putts? No. I've had an average day. I only hold one out of with each of the putters on this 12-foot putt on a really clean surface. But I was more consistent with the square to square. We can see that it does track back. When it's moving back, we don't want the face to open more than the path has gone inside. And I think it does that with my CH model a little bit. Therefore, on the way through, I've got to save that face angle with manipulation. What we're seeing with these square to square models is when it swings back, it does swing back more square, like it says on the tin. The face angle doesn't open as much, and that means that I could return the face square without having to adjust my stroke. And ultimately speaking, with the same style head that I'm using, the similar alignment, I felt comfortable. My roll percentage stayed really, really high. My speed dropped, so I'm not changing anything about how the ball rolled off the face. I'm just getting improvement through face squareness, through contact. And ultimately, that means I'm going to hold more putts. So you're used to us robot testing, and this one is something we can't really robot test. When you clamp the handle in a robot, it's just going to control the face square all the time. So it kind of defeats the purpose of seeing what this technology really does. Hopefully my test gave you some insight, and here are my key takeaways. I love my number 7. I'm so happy that they do the square to square in a number 7 shape. Make sure you get fit, obviously. There are some differences in how that putter sits on the ground that's going to mean that you're going to have to work with your fitter, because these things can't be adjusted like normal putters, to make sure that you can set up in a way that feels good and suits your stroke. You want to find a head that you align best, because aiming these with the face in a different position to a CH putter or most traditional putters is going to be a change. And then you want to stroke them and make sure you enjoy the feeling. It's different. You don't feel that face opening and closing. So yes, that may produce more consistent results, but it may make some issues for some people who like feeling the face rotation. We saw in my small test that I did see some good benefits, and I'm definitely going to give it a run on the golf course. Putting is hard to test in this small arena to show huge gains, but there's enough here with this face control being improved that I'm going to give it a go. I encourage you to go to CoolClubs, any fitting facility, and get fit for these putters. Really cool tech with great face technology in a head shape that you know and love. It's worth a go. Get there.